We have a major Kings trade update as reports have come out revealing that the Sacramento Kings are shopping Kevin Huerter ahead of this year's trade deadline. And while people have been screaming for Monte McNair to make some moves and make some changes to this roster, and I've been included, there are a couple of rumors that are floating around that I really want to shut down here on this video because, again, while Kevin Huerter's salary is pretty significant, bringing back big contracts that might be risky moves to it might be the clear potential high upside move with the Sacramento Kings to improve the roster. I'm going to break down why this could be really, really disastrous for the Sacramento Kings team if it ends up happening. So we're going to break down what the trade reports are saying, what's happening with the Sacramento Kings team, and what should really go down for Monte McNair to help bolster this squad that has so much talent already, just needs the right fine-tuning to get back on track, to get in the right place, to get in that right position. But before we dive into that, folks, again, we are oh so close to 1,000 subscribers, so make sure you guys, if you haven't hit the subscribe button just yet and you're a part of the 83% of our viewers that haven't hit it, make sure you guys hit that sub button because we're delivering daily Sacramento Kings coverage out here on Kings Digest. But let's dive into the news. Let's dive into the reports because, again, there's been a lot of people calling for Monte McNair to make some moves, and obviously Kevin Huerter is the first name that comes to mind because he's starting to play his way out of the rotation. He's not really being factored into Mike Brown's schemes and decisions and stuff, given his poor shooting over the course of the season, and people are hoping there's any way that Monte McNair, the Kings front office, can extract any bit of value outside out for Kevin Huerter. So basically, a report has come out that gave some Kings fans maybe some hope, or the Kevin Huerter fans some sadness. But basically, the Kings are viewed as a team around as an active team in the trade market, gauging value on multiple potential trades. Sacramento has dangled Kevin Huerter's $16.8 million salary in exploratory talks. Kings is 1.5 games out of the Western Conference play-in race at 9-11 out there in terms of wins and losses. So, again, Kevin Huerter, a guy that should be so much better, that should be performing at such a higher rate. Looking back to that Golden State Warriors series where he just absolutely cooked for Sacramento, allowed this team to take that series to Game 7, had so much excitement about his development, about his progress, about everything that was going on, and then just really has been on a downward trajectory to this season where it's a complete mess, for this team. 9 points per game, 3.4 rebounds, 2 assists, shooting 27.7% from the field, shooting 33% from the three-point line at 26 years old. The prime of someone's career. Kevin Huerter has just completely fallen off a cliff in regards to his three-point shooting, his effectiveness, and while this season, again, from the eye test, it feels like he's been providing more effort out there on the basketball court, especially on the defensive end. Looks like he's been trying, out there to move his feet. You're trying to hustle more than we've seen in recent seasons. The reason Kevin Huerter is out there on the basketball court, the reason that he provides NBA level value, the reason he got paid that $16 million per year salary is because he can shoot threes. He can get your team buckets. That's the value proposition of Kevin Huerter. And anything you get on top of it, if he can just not be a negative out there in the defensive end, that's the positive, that's the upside, that's what you get excited about with Kevin Huerter. But frankly, things have not been working out. Things have been a disaster for Kevin Huerter this season. Now, minutes per game, that has been fallen off a cliff there for Huerter now at this point, to the point where the Kings are, I guess trying to sell low out there on their three-point shooting prospect. And he's not a prospect anymore, a three-point shooting wing. And there are some things that are getting floated around that just make me very, very nervous. And the first one is this report that's getting thrown back, receiving circulation once again, is when the Kings traded Jalen McDaniels and the second round pick to the Spurs, they opened up cap space and stuff, and essentially the Kings became front runners to Zach LaVine and Brandon Ingram in terms of trades. Now, people might be like, oh, Ben, that's a report from a while ago. Why are you bringing that up? Those rumors, those things have fizzled out, but I reacted to this, the 6 weeks ago that this ended up going down, and essentially, these trades, the Brandon Ingrams, the Zach LaVines, they weren't possible. They weren't realistic till December 15th, regardless. Essentially, there was no real way to facilitate a trade to make the money work unless they were obviously going to be giving up Fox or, Sabonis, which would make no sense in one of these trade packages, to make the money work for one of these star caliber players. So these big names to come back to Sacramento, one of these buy low opportunities. And while in a vacuum, yes, if we could insert Zach LaVine into this lineup without any cap implications, without any concerns of injury, without you having to give up a bunch of guys, with the exception of Kevin Huerter, these types of dudes, then yes, sure, it's worth it. Let's take the risk. Zach LaVine's actually playing pretty well this season. Brandon Ingram, when he's healthy, can be pretty solid. I mean, why not? But there's a lot of things to say potentially why not. Because, again, Zach LaVine, Brandon Ingram is a free agent coming this offseason. He's going to get paid. And the reason the Pelicans are willing to trade him is because they don't want to give him that big salary. And again, the Pelicans have been brutal this season, dealing with injuries and stuff. So that's factor one with Brandon Ingram. Zach LaVine is on a massive contract, a ludicrous deal, and no one wants to pick up that contract. That's why Zach LaVine could be available. Why? Even though he's playing pretty solid, no one wants to pick him up with his injury history and crazy money he's making over the next 3 years as the NBA cap restrictions get tighter and tighter as seasons go along. So, again, that's why these guys are available. And if these reports are true, right, when that trade happened and then December 15th comes around, the Kings are desperate because, again, the way things are going, for Monte, McNair, for this squad, this is desperation mode for the Kings. I just hope this team doesn't make any decisions that really nerfs this team's ability to perform, to get better long term. And, there are a couple hypothetical trade packages that could be made, right? This is a deal that, maybe, again, I'm not in the backside negotiations, but this is how you make the money work without giving up to DeRozan, Fox, or Sabonis, or Keegan Murray in one of these deals, right? Like Malik Monk, Kevin Huerter, and Trey Lyles go into the Chicago Bulls, and the Kings receive Zach LaVine. Now, with how bad LaVine's contract, 3 years, over $43 million per year annually, like, I can't imagine this deal goes through, especially with, regardless of what you think about Kevin Huerter, Trey Lyles, so they've been performing this season, but Malik Monk going out, that's an asset, that's a positive player, going to the Chicago Bulls in this one, there has to be, and then the Kings taking on this money, there has to be some draft compensation. Now, the Bulls, they won't want to give any immediate draft compensation, so I threw in a 2031 first-round pick and then multiple seconds. I are from Sacramento, things, hedging your bets if things get messy, but, that's sort of the draft compensation there, but again, giving up Malik Monk for Zach LaVine in a vacuum, I'm not even sure that makes the team better. I know Malik Monk has his ups and downs, and LaVine has been solid. Like, just giving context in terms of how good he's been this season, right? Zach LaVine, 22 points, 4.5 rebounds, 4.1 assists, and shooting 43% from the three-point line and shooting 46% on quarter threes. Like, Zach LaVine would help the shooting issues that are going on with the team right now. He's more efficient than Monk, and he has been a star player over the course of his NBA career, but the injury concerns and the high amount of money he's making are very, very problematic for one of these deals going down. And essentially, he's another wing, right? He's another wing. You're giving up two, you're bringing in one. It's doesn't feel like that crazy vertical move. Again, to incentivize the Kings to do this, bringing in some draft compensation could be a reason to make that happen. But in a vacuum, that's the deal you're going to have to give up in terms of making the money work and stuff. I'm just not super interested in a trade like that end up happening. If Kevin Huerter is going to be a centerpiece of a deal, Brandon Ingram's a guy that the Pelicans aren't going to give up future first-round picks to get off of Brandon Ingram's money. His contract's going to be up in the summer, so there's no hope. There's no reasonable reason to expect the Pelicans to give us any sort of draft picks, draft compensation to facilitate a Brandon Ingram deal. But, again, you can look at it the same way. Malik Monk, Kevin Huerter, Trey Lyles, dealing away those guys to bring in Brandon Ingram. We'll take a look at his stats before we really judge anything, but Brandon Ingram, very similar to Zach LaVine, 23 points per game, 6 rebounds, 5.4 assists, less efficient from the three-point line, especially from the corners. So, again, you still have some problems there. He is only 27 years old. He's dealt with injuries himself. It's just doesn't feel like something that's going to fix this Kings team, going to fix this Kings roster. This one makes a little bit more sense just positionally. You get a forward, someone that could actually start at the forward position for Sacramento. So, again, Ingram, even though he's not the shooter Zach LaVine is, and just giving PTSD of the Chicago Bulls team that DeMar and Zach LaVine were on, maybe Ingram makes a bit more sense, but you're not getting the draft compensation you probably get in a Zach LaVine trade in one of these moves. But again, I've been screaming from the hilltops to make a deal, to make some moves that bolster the defense and like three-point shooting. We don't need big names, big star-studded, guys that have been all-stars, guys that are expensive, high contracts. There's so much upper tier talent on this Kings roster, and that's not really a need. Just role players that can come out, be effective 3-and-D players to this team. That's kind of the crucial aspect. That's what the squad needs. So Let me know what you guys think about this rumor, this report that's coming up with Kevin Huerter. You know, the potential outlets in terms of the star names coming back, or what do you think Monte McNair should do with this squad? Let me know in the comment section down below. You guys best think as far. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.